The government has announced a review into the workings of Parliament after its defeats in the House of Lords over controversial tax credit cuts. Downing Street said it would examine how to protect the ability of elected governments to secure their business. It will consider how to secure the decisive role of the elected Commons in relation to its primacy on financial matters and secondary legislation. But Labour accused the government of intimidating the House of Lords. The review, to be led by former Leader of the House of Commons Lord Strathclyde, comes as Tory MPs continue to express anger at the House of Lords' decision to vote to delay cuts to tax credits and to compensate those affected in full. Respect conventions. MPs have approved the tax credit changes 3 times and ministers have questioned the authority of the Lords to challenge the Commons on such a major financial issue, saying it flew in the face of long-standing historical precedents. Speaking earlier, Chancellor George Osborne said the Lords must respect the constitutional conventions that says the elected part of our Parliament votes on financial matters and the unelected part doesn't. The House of Lords has an important job as a chamber that says have you thought about this or raises concerns, and there were opportunities for the House of Lords to do that yesterday. They didn't take those opportunities. What they did was they blocked a financial matter. They haven't done that for 100 years and it does raise constitutional issues. Grudge match. The BBC's political correspondent Ross Hawkins said the government felt hard done by and believed it could rewrite or clarify the rules to stop the House of Lords overreaching itself. Number 10 did not outline a time frame for the review but said Lord Strathclyde, who served in the cabinet for more than 3 years, would draw on a panel of experts. Shadow Chancellor John McDonnell said the move looked more like a grudge match than a serious exercise in reform. I'd like to see a reform program for the House of Lords because I'm one of those people who supports an elected House of Lords, he said. But I find it a bit odd that just because the government doesn't get its way in bullying the House of Lords, suddenly they set up this review. And I think people will react against it. I think they will see it as intimidating the Lords simply because they didn't vote for Conservative Party policy. Unlike in the Commons, the government does not have a majority in the Lords and has suffered 19 defeats in the Lords since May. Former Chancellor Ken Clarke told the BBC that it had become difficult to govern and the Lords should reconsider their approach. Power to amend. Critics of the government say that it has mishandled the presentation of its tax credits policy and sought to enact the changes through a statutory instrument rather than a money bill, which the Lords cannot challenge, to restrict debate. Conservative peer Lord Forsyth said this had been a mistake but insisted talk of a constitutional crisis was overstated. He said a possible solution was for the Lords to be given the explicit power to delay or amend secondary legislation in return for foregoing the authority to vote down such measures. The peer also said it would be insane for David Cameron to create a new tranche of peers to give the government effective control of the Lords, since the House was already overcrowded with nearly 800 existing members. Before Monday's defeat, peers had only blocked so-called secondary legislation on 5 occasions since 1945 and never on a financial matter. The government narrowly avoided another defeat on Tuesday over its plans to accelerate changes to the electoral register, with peers voting down a so-called fatal motion which would have blocked them by a majority of 11.